questions, so I just tweeted out pop-up Q&A session or something to that effect. Here's the link if you have any questions. So I sat at my desk and worked, and people, that little room filled up pretty good. People I don't even know. And so if some of the people I don't even know showed up today for the radio show, we're glad to have you with us. And if you have any questions about anything, be sure and type them into the chat box. No one sees what you type into the chat box except myself and Michael. We're not here to judge you. We're here to help if we can in any way. So by all means, if you have questions, if you're new, like, well, who are you guys? And how long have you been doing this? And are you any good at it? Well, we'll answer those questions and more when I come back. But now let me drag Michael's chart up onto the big screen.
Okay.
And
you tell me when you're ready. Yeah, I'm going to take a quick drink before I start talking.
Yeah, you go ahead. Can I stretch it a little bit? A little bit. Okay, you're perfectly positioned, and I'll hit mute, and I will be here when you're done.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Let's start out with this. And let me just come in and see who the heck's in here. I wanted to see if any of the guys who are on the trial are in here. And yes, there are some trial folks who are in here. Okay, here we go. Oops, wait, I didn't put the question box out. There we go. Oh, Joan, you asked. Oh. Joan said she didn't see YouTube stream today. Yeah, Dwayne. I'll send you that in just a minute. Okay. I'll send you that in a minute. All right. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 21st day of August, 2018. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page here at CFRN.net, right up here at the very top. On the right-hand side, it says 5-day free trial. Apply.cfrn.net. You can click on that, or click on this right here, this free 5-day trial, or this use our proprietary indicators for free. Click on any one of those, and eventually you're going to be brought to this page. Where on this page, all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Then hit the submit button. Once you hit that submit button, you'll be sent the confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. So you got to click that link. Okay. Okay. Results. Okay, our results today, well, they weren't as good as yesterday, but we had more trade opportunities. I'll say that. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today's the 21st day of August, 2018. And we made 6 ticks in the euro. We lost 5 ticks in crude and made 13 ticks in gold. That put us at plus 117.5 on the day. Today it was 105 minutes and 7 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up 107.5, and we took a total of 8 trades. I mean, the markets were really slow starting out this morning, and then I had to stop out. So it took a while to make it all back up. On the month now, we're at 1598.75. That's over 14 days, averaging 114 per day. Now that is one contract, 2 hours per day. One contract, 2 hours per day. Okay. On the year, 22,697. That's over 152 days, averaging 149 per day. Again, one contract, 2 hours per day. All right. All right. Now, let's look at these markets and what a mess they were. See, in the pre-market, opportunity, 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 opportunity. Then our markets open up. Chop, 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 chop. It wasn't until like the last half hour that we had some good opportunity here. We picked up 12 ticks there and 1 tick there on the gold. During the break, there was a bounce off the BBC right here. Probably would have been a break-even trade, and it's just been choppy ever since. Okay. On the euro, let's see, again, in the pre-market, plenty of opportunity in the pre-market. Then when the markets opened up, right in here, a bunch of chop, slingshot not giving us any opportunity at all for a trade. It was just this one right here. Would have been a momentum long trade. Over here, we had a break even, and then we picked up 6 ticks right there on that one. During the break, it looks like it was a long opportunity right there, and then it just got choppy as we're right below the high of the day. Okay, crude oil. Crude oil. Again, in the pre-market, look at this huge move up in the pre-market. And typically, if you get a whole bunch of movement like that in a pre-market, when markets open up, it's going to be choppy. And it was for all the markets. This was a slow grind down today. Slow grind down. We had a break even there. Then we stopped out there. We were -8 ticks. We picked up 3 ticks there to put us back to -5. And that was all we had in the session this morning. During the break, one trade right here. Didn't go anywhere. It would have stopped you out. I guess there was a trade here too. This would have been a momentum long trade that would have gotten you something. But that was crude. The ES, we had one break even trade here on the ES this morning. And look how choppy this was. Chop, 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 chop. And during the break, same thing. It made a leg up. Couldn't trade anything there. And then it just got choppy again. That was it. We are having a meeting this afternoon at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the link to it right here. Copy, paste, 1:15 p.m. EDT. That is today. Anyone can go to it. Okay. In that meeting, we'll be going over other trade setups that we don't do in this room, well, in the morning session. You know, for anyone who's a partner, it's just more information for you. Or anyone who's thinking of becoming a partner, it's more information for you. So that's that. That was our morning session. Now, I'll go over this again really quickly. Today is the 21st day of August 2018. We made 6 ticks in the euro. We lost 5 ticks in crude. We made 13 ticks in gold. Put us at plus 117.50. We had, it took 105 minutes and 7 trades to get to gold for the day. At that point, we're up 107.50. And we took a total of 8 opportunities this morning. On the month now, 1598.75. That's over 14 days, averaging 114 per day. On the year, 22,697. That's over 152 days, averaging 149 per day. Okay, averaging 149 per day. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. And right over here it says 5-day free trial. Apply at CFRN.net. If you click on that, you'll be brought to this page where all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Click on submit. Once you click submit, you'll be sent a confirmation link, and you must click on the confirmation link. Okay, once you click that link, then you'll be sent all the information that you need to get into the room. Okay? Okay. With that, you can pass it back out to Studio 8 in fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready. And
yep.
And yes, I did post the link for the 1:15 meeting.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
Dwayne, let me go take care of that thing for you. Right away. Copy. No, Dwayne typed something in there earlier, and I need to send it to him.
Well, I just did something. I'll do it again.
And this valid. And I need to go into the chimp. You have the charts back.
Oh, I do. Oh, they showed up? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was festering over that, and there they are.
There they are.
Oop, there they are. Okay.
Pretty.
So, recap of the recap.
Today it took 105 minutes and 7 trades to get to $107.50 per contract.
105 minutes, 7 trades. Well, that's real good. It is. I think, don't you?
Yeah, that's the goal for the day. And that's what we're looking to do. Get the goal for the day.
So what else going on?
I am updating this list in MailChimp right now. Because we had a couple of guys come back on and reactivate.
So have you seen our Logic 247 spreadsheet?
I have seen it.
You have? Okay, good.
I have. It hardly had any data in it when I saw it, but I'll look at one of the ones that Russell had sent.
Yeah, one of the
most recently.
The latest working versions. In fact, the last one he sent, he's putting some more functions and whatnot in there, but we had a little meeting last night after the pop-up, and we covered some ground, and he's a good guy. He's a smart guy. So I was thankful for that. Let's see, what do we have over here in the chat box? Hey, I don't see a YouTube stream today. I launched one. Do you still not see it? Oh, thank you for YouTube stream. Okay, yes. You're welcome, John. Right. Okay. Another article from Turkey, Jones shared. They're working with China. TJ says, Turkey's another Greece. Should have never let them into the EU or lend them any money. Both real turkeys. Oh. Hi. Became an active member last week. Do I get a link to join the training room?
Yep. I just took care of that.
He just fixed you right up. Flash Q&A. Q&A version of Flash Mob. Flash Q&A. Yeah, that's pretty good, TJ. You know, I was going for the whole pop-up thing, but that would work. It's like a Flash Mob. Yeah. I would like to see one of those live in real time and not be expecting it one day. You know. Thanks for number 74. Okay. Let me look at that. There's a YouTube link. Now, I have not vetted this link, although I'm sure a link from Gary doesn't need. Oh, he's got his own bell. He got his own bell. That's cool. Now he said, "Thanks for number 74." Let's.
Hey guys and gals, my name is Jason Bond, founder of Jason Bond Pick.
Oh, now that's one thing about YouTube I could do without. How you listen to a video because you want to listen to a video, and if you're not quick on that button, they will force you to listen to something else or watch something else. Alright, let me pull up the Telegram. Is there anybody that has any questions? Now, what Gary's talking about is alert number 74, which I've got to get over. Oh, and hang on, Michael, before you go, I'm going to tell you a funny story. Not funny, it's more like, you know, horribly embarrassing, but I'm going to tell you on live radio.
Okay.
Considering the Russell 1701 to 1704, if the opportunity presents. Oh, and did it, brother. Now, I've been teaching the guys and the ladies who are part of L2. We decided that we're not going to say logic. We're not going to say logic 247 all the time. In casual conversation, we'll, you know, at like acceptance speeches and things, we'll say logic 247. But or when we go to the White House. But every day, you know, use, we're just going to go L2, and everybody will know what we're talking about.
Okay.
You down with that?
I'm down with that.
He's down with that. Okay. Alert number 74. Buy the Russell 1701. Take profit 1704. Yes. That did work well. Thank you for bringing that up. Now, and it also, this brings up, I know why you really brought it up, Gary, because of what I said, what I taught yesterday in the pop-up, and what I wrote about in some detail last night to those on the active L2. When you have a target, which we clearly had a target And of course, there's always a reason for the target, 1701 to 1704. However, I wrote, and those of you who haven't read it yet, please do. There's a couple of different posts. When price is approaching the target, don't jump out just because price has reached the target. Look at your chart and see if the chart is telling you to get out. Now, the detail I went into last night is I said on your 30-minute, if as you're approaching like a weekly trading zone, which often will be a target, the candles should start getting smaller, range-wise. Okay, it's like when you apply your foot to the brake pedal, and the car doesn't instantly stop, but it slows down. And that's how you see a market slowing down. You go from wide range candles to medium to small, often all the way down to dojis, like we see around the weekly trading zones and at targets. And targets are sometimes weekly trading zones. So if you were in this trade today, okay, as you were approaching 1704, then the things I said last night, you're thinking, hey, wait a minute. This is exactly what he was talking about. Because if you read it and understood it, you would not have gotten out at 1704. You would have simply trailed your stop at whatever distance you're comfortable with. And that thing ran another 10 points. It's interesting that I chose last night to, oh God, and then it kept going. It went 20, another 20 points. Another 20 points. Now, at this point, you might have started, you might have just couldn't held back anymore. Now, let's go here, and let's go here. Because I used this as part of the teaching as well. You see, as long as this step line is on the north side of the CFMA1, and as long as you have blue on blue step lines on the north side of the CFMA1, blue on blue, no reason to think about getting out of the trade until the step line crosses the CFMA1, price itself starts to walk sideways, your first red candle to close below the step line on the back side of the CFMA1, that gives you the exact price to exit the market. Now, there will be times when we have such a fast and rapid move that the step line and the CFMA1 get very far from the BBC. Okay, now it can only stretch so far. Price is always going to revert to the mean. People would have thought it was happening here, and now people are think it's happening here. So what you have to do is you have to say, okay, this started out as a 3-point trade. I've added an additional 20 points just by following the rules, just trailing my stop. From where we are right now at 1722 down to 19, I could let price come all the way back, and out of the 23 points so far, I'm only risking about 3 to see if price is going to come back here and start walking sideways. Now, if it starts just falling out of bed crashing, I'm sitting here watching it, and I can pull the plug at any given time. But getting into a situation like this, where you have, at this point, an extra, I don't know, what, 11 points? Or, yeah, an extra 11 points, and then those 11 become an extra 20. You don't get into this kind of situation every day. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to jump ship just because we got some major green on the screen, or even minor green on the screen, especially. Stay with it as long as the market will allow us. Now look what just happened, okay? The step line just turned back up, and this candle got small. Oh my goodness. How did that Let me fix that. I was trying during the pop-up yesterday. I didn't want to sit with my headphones on. I wanted to just listen through the speakers and talk into the boom mic. But for some reason, I couldn't get the sound to push out to the flat panel. Yeah, so I need to put it all back into the headset right now so it doesn't make that noise again.
John's out there in the audience.
Oh, good. Okay, that was him just jingling my phone, probably.
Oh, okay. Well, here, let me open up his mic.
So, you know, guys, I don't know. I'm a ring mount toot. I don't have a horn to toot. But our 3-point trade, and thank you for pointing it out, Gary, turned into a 23-point trade so far. No, that's not right. 19. Whatever. Michael, you the math guy. Yeah, it was get along at 1701.
Yeah.
So it's 20. It's 22 at $50 a point. So that's over $1,000 per contract, and that's nice.
That's nice.
That's the kind of stuff we're doing over at the L24. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
I know you've got your meeting coming. Everybody who's on a trial and whatnot, you should be with Michael, and then you can listen to the rest of the radio show on YouTube after the fact. So.
Yes.
All right, John. Sorry about yesterday. Bring me up to speed on all that's happening.
Okay.
All of us up to speed.
Remember a year ago we said, you know, we call that move the S&P going 100 points higher, 150. It's kind of like deja vu, and we mentioned this a few weeks ago that it looked like it had the potential to do the same, and it is doing the same. The difference is, a year ago it was a little bit, we were sort of just starting, I think, the S&P move towards the end of August. This time we're obviously a lot higher, and we're potentially in the latter stages of an S&P move going into the end of August. We're at almost at a double top here against the you know, previous high back in January, and but look, you know, we've talked about this relentlessly on the show about how you know, we've talked about this 4.1% growth era we're now in, that we're in, you know, we're in the ultimate of all sweet spots, in the sense that I pointed out these two. I mean, you know, CNN the other day tried to say, oh, you know, Trump's not got the biggest economy ever and all that sort of thing. It's a lot of nonsense. Listen, there's more Americans working today than ever in history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of these,
across every divide, you know,
yeah,
men, women, black, white.
Yeah, we've got these unbelievable new all-time lows in unemployment. And as I pointed out, nobody else has figured this out in the world, as far as I know, where it's not just, you know, just because we're hitting 50-year lows, we're actually hitting all-time lows, because if you factor in the population differential, those numbers, you know, 50 years ago were, you know, they would take us to all-time lows today. It's the same as Britain. If Britain's unemployment is at an all-time low, I think it's less, it's about 700,000, maybe something like that. The previous low was 750,000 in 1974. But when you look at the population in Britain today, it's it's a third as big, a third larger than what it was in 74, maybe even more. So all of these statistics are hitting new all-time lows. And then this states, I think Minnesota about a 3.4% unemployment. North Dakota is about 1%. There's many states that are hitting all-time record lows in unemployment. So we've got this juggernaut, and this thing it is not going to stop overnight. This juggernaut is onward and upward, and you know, you got consumer confidence. You got Walmart jumping $10 a share. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's unheard of. That's a huge situation in terms of adding multiple billions to the market cap.
Walmart stock rarely ever moves, does it?
Right, and then you've got the Dow is accelerating higher, like we've been talking about. It's catching up. You know, a week or two ago, we said 1,000 points from the all-time high. That's down to about 800 now, 700. the some Dow components making new all-time highs all over the place. That's very, very important because the breadth of the Dow is making new all-time highs. The advanced decline line has gotten very strong recently, so it's making all-time highs again. But think about this. In 2009, which you could argue in 2015-16, you know, we went through a mini 2009 experience. You know, it was the first, it was the second big correction we had. Well, it was the third. We had a correction in 2010. We had a correction in 2011, and then we had a dream run up to 14, and then 15-16 was the third correction, I suppose you could say, and it was the deepest since 2009. Now, what I'm getting at here is, here we are, you know, talk about the 16 bottom, right? February 16 was the lows. A little bit like March of 2009. And I predicted in late March of 2009 that the mid-cap and transports would hit new all-time highs by 2011. That was a pretty difficult call to make, and I got some hate mail for it. But you know, it turned out to be true. And guess what? You know, we're in the same exact moment here today, where we're, you know, from the 2016 bottom, we're what, 2.5 years off the 2016 bottom right now, and the Dow and the mid-cap and the transports are hitting new all-time highs together today. So how bullish is that? How incredibly bullish is that? It's, you know, we were just getting going in 2011 when we hit new all-time highs in the transports and the mid-cap. Now, 2 years later, or a year later, you know, in 2014-15, the transports and the mid-cap were actually not necessarily making new all-time highs by then. You know, they had made higher highs, but they were starting to underperform. But we got a Dow. Look, we've had 3 Dow theory buy signals since the correction back in May. There's been a couple. There was one in July, I think, and there was one at the beginning of this month. And I did mention it on the radio, and I said, look, you know, when you get these Dow theory buy signals, they're really, really powerful, and they do tend to signal further upside. And we're hitting another one the last few days, and look at the way the market is going today. So, but this one is special because we're hitting new all-time highs in the transports, and we're hitting new all-time, and in the small caps. So, you know, it's just, it doesn't get any better than this. And when the transports is leading the Dow, it's extremely bullish. It's really, really bullish. So, you know, apart from the possibility that we might get a correction here going into the midterms, you know, this year actually is starting to behave differently from a second year. You know, we've had a second year correction, but the market is making new all-time highs here in the third quarter. That's a pretty incredible thing by any measure. So it's kind of very unorthodox. It's not normally supposed to happen. And remember what I said, you know, nine months ago, let's say 10 or 11 months ago, the market was going into November, December, January in a blow-off stage, effectively. So 9 months later, we're probably in November, December right now, going in. You know, we've got a couple of months before the midterm elections. But remember, the strongest part of the market was December, January of the 2017 and 2018. So 9 months later, the economy should be hitting on all cylinders right around the end of this year, right around November. Sure. So, you know, with that in mind, the sweet spot of the momentum is probably right on us, not right now, right in an accelerated mode. So and by the way, the dollar is finally yielding. You know, as we said last week, it made a daily reversal, then it made a weekly reversal, and now it's actually come down quite a bit, and is helping the gold recover. I want to get onto a subject here in a minute that's quite interesting, that I kind of figured out some things in the last few days that I might be able to apply to some sort of a program that I can share with everybody in the days, in the months and years ahead. But you know, one of the hardest things about this market is, you know, you get these heart attack corrections, and it feels like the market's topped out, and then it sort of stayed like the Facebook thing. You know, you get a kind of 120 billion, you know, haircut. That certainly scares a lot of people, and it sort of places a little bit of a damper on the markets, just like we had. And the hardest thing to do, including the gold, by the way, is to catch that bottom, you know, to catch that turning point. And I'll give you, and so we're, you know, I mentioned palladium. You know, look, one of the head scratches here is, you know, if the economy is so good, you know, what went wrong with copper? And it's probably more of the, it's probably more of the China influence that's a problem here, rather than the you know, what's going on in the U.S., because you know, China is such a huge commodity user that, you know, if the Chinese economy is slowing down, that's probably affecting the copper market. But palladium has been, as I've pointed out before, has been the best recovery candidate in the metals, and we've had a tremendous rebound already in the palladium off this low of last week. We got down to just a second. Yeah, we got all the way down to about 815, I think, and here we are at 906 this morning. So that's a tremendous recovery. And actually, if we get up to 920, 930 before the end of the month, you're going to have the biggest monthly reversal of all time in this particular instrument, and possibly, you know, almost bigger than anything we've ever seen. Sort of, you know, on a par with the Dow reversing 1,000 points, like on the, you know, the night of Trump's election, that kind of a reversal, something equivalent to that. And I don't have to tell you what happened to the Dow after that. You know, the Dow went up 10,000 points. So you know, people probably thought I was a bit wacky when I said a few times that this palladium could go all the way to 1600 or higher. And it really could if we make this reversal. We're not quite confirmed on this yet. You know, it's still a little bit dodgy. But if it does get up there, it's, you know, a monthly reversal of that magnitude is probably going to have an incredibly powerful impact on the palladium. It could push it. I mean, you know, we get back to 920, 930, we could be at 1100 before you know it. And that would raise the gold market along with it in a big way. Now, we are getting a little bit of an early buy signal on the gold stocks today. And it's very hard to buy these gold stocks because they got knocked down quite badly, and they don't. And then the way they're turning, the gold stocks today look like the market about a week ago or a week or two ago. In other words, these bottoms are very hard to buy in terms of stocks. Now, what I noticed, and one of them was in particular Boeing, which I've mentioned a few times, I thought was very undervalued, and it got knocked down quite a bit, you know, on the tariff scare, etc. But if you look at the chart of Boeing, you could argue we've been in a consolidation pretty much for the whole year. We've been going in a range between 320 and 370, and we're at about 350 right now. And we got down to 330 a few days ago. And I noticed when that happened that I got a certain type of buy signal off my work that I follow here. And I've been able to adjust most of the stuff I look at with a similar kind of a time frame, and it's been working extremely well. For example, this morning I got one, and you know, as soon as you see these, you just have to shut your eyes and buy. And you know, the result now, Twitter is a very difficult thing, is sort of one of these very difficult stocks to buy, because it got knocked down from 48 all the way down to 31 or so. And, you know, it's been sort of going sideways, a little bit like Facebook has, but much more trapped in a very narrow range. And then this morning, it gave me one of these buys right off the open. Or actually it gave me the buy signal yesterday, to be fair. But it did go to a confirmed sort of buy this morning, and bang, we literally jumped $1.35. You know, we jumped to about $1.50 since yesterday on Twitter, and that's quite a big gain for the, you know, from 32 and a half up to 34. So this thing, I'm really excited about it, because it tends to precede these up days, which sometimes are a little bit, I mean, it's like the S&P. You saw that the way it just suddenly broke out and went straight up today, right?
Now, what was the what sparked that rally?
I think Tesla, you know, Tesla got knocked down pretty hard here the last couple of days, and it turned around this morning. And by the way, I got a really good buy off Tesla this morning, and that was at 300, or sorry, yesterday. And then this morning was about 305, and it got up to 320, 325. So that's a pretty good move for the day, right? Right. And as I've been saying, you know, it's good to have upside exposure. Now look, I just said to you a while ago, I'm looking for a gold buy on the gold stocks. I already put it on Twitter a while ago, and it's already it's starting to kick in.
Yeah, gold's right here in the
last. It's just starting to jump. Now, so this thing that I'm doing is really, really good. It's very precise, and it seems to be working extremely well.
Guys,
so
you've heard me say over the years that the final 10 minutes of an hour and the first 10 minutes of an hour, you will often see 80% of the movement for that time period. And with only 4 minutes to go here in this 30-minute candle that you're watching grow, that's a prime example of what I've said so often. Price will it'll just sit there, it'll ping pong back and forth, and then as that window of time closes, boom, it'll go do what it was planning to do all along. So that's just a little side note. There's a question for you from Bruce on gold. Where'd it go? Hang on. Had it right here. Bruce, okay. Over the last few days, gold is up 20 points, yet the nugget and JNUG have barely moved. Could you ask Sean if there are any implications behind that?
Well, that's what I'm explaining right now. It's sort of like, you know, if you look at Twitter and see how it got knocked down, and yet the rest of the market is sort of going up, you have to say to yourself, you know, why is Twitter still stuck in this range? Why didn't it rally quicker? And you could argue the same sort of thing with the gold stocks. They got more damaged, if you like, than the price of gold itself, because they're you know, it's like a multiplier effect. You know, when the gold's going up, the stocks go up more percentage wise, and when the gold's going down, they tend to go down more percentage wise. But the interesting thing today is, you know, we're at that point similar to where Twitter took off this morning, from, you know, a very difficult looking, you know, very hard to pick kind of a move, if you like. And, you know, the dusts in particular, which are the opposite of the nugs, have been very strong. And the fact that they're starting to, you know, come off right now. In fact, you know, the dollar, as I said earlier on, it's been breaking down. The dollar is now starting to accelerate lower.
This weekly chart on Twitter is still rather bullish. The daily chart doesn't look so hot, but at this island bottom, as you call it down here, on the daily, but the weekly still looks pretty healthy. And so
So, but you know, today was the day that it started to happen, and today is the day I think the gold stocks could start to happen. So, in other words, the dollar has finally started to fall enough for gold to actually go higher. And look, I'll be honest with you. You know, we got up last night. We got up to about $8 or $9 higher. We up to 12 or 3 or somewhere. We sold it. We just bought it back at 11.96, and it's 11.99 right now. But
Melissa,
the palladium.
Yeah, Melissa had a question for you too. You just said palladium right there. Is there an ETF to be used with palladium? That's Melissa asking.
You know what? I don't know. I'll have to check that out. I think there is actually.
Okay.
I think there is. Yeah, there almost for sure there is.
Okay.
But the palladium is a really, you know, the palladium. Look, I'm just telling you, the palladium leads the gold. You know, it's part of the fact that palladium got beaten up so badly is one of the reasons why the gold tanked. And the fact that the palladium is now, I mean, let me just pull up the daily, because I think we've reversed pretty much, I mean, we've literally reversed all the damage that was done last week in 3 days, right? Where it broke down from above 900 down to the 815.
Is it palladium
And we're back above it now. We're back above it. So this constitutes a double weekly reversal of pretty monumental proportions. And actually, the weekly buy on the palladium is really pretty powerful right now. And you know, remember the last time we had a buy like this, we had a good rally, and then it kind of came down again. But this time, I would have to say that the structure of palladium is really starting to turn pretty bullish.
Yeah, palladium
pretty bullish.
Or platinum. Which one of those is used in catalytic converters, and do they still use that today?
Both of them are.
They both are. Okay, so now palladium, what other use does it have? You don't. It's not a big jewelry thing, is it?
No. I you know what? I'll have to do some more looking into that.
Okay.
It's mainly a catalytic converter. Is the thing. Now I did say earlier on
but it's
that
considered a precious metal.
Yeah, it is definitely.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Now I did say, I actually put out a tweet about an hour ago saying that I thought we were going to get the market to me looks like it's going to go parabolic to the upside. It's kind of getting to the point where the shorts are throwing in the towel, and you know they have to, when you start making new highs. I mean, what's going on here now is we've gone from no new highs a few weeks ago to an increasing number of new highs, and now we've got 3 leading indices. You've got the S&P at a new high today, you've got the Russell and the transports, and the NASDAQ is pretty close to a new all-time high right here. So you know, if you get 4 of them hitting all-time highs, that's pretty impressive. So you know, it's just the more things that hit, and frankly, the NASDAQ, the way it's shaping up here, looks like it could explode to new all-time highs here within a day or two. So we've got a chance of a sort of a blow-off, maybe into this you know, Wyoming meeting that the Fed is going to have next week.
We got Fed minutes tomorrow, right?
Yeah, and then maybe that's something that's going to help the market too, and it could help the gold. You know, and then you know, you got different things going on. You got Trump sort of, you know, got laid into the Fed, saying he doesn't like the fact that Fed are raising rates. I mean, this is all extend the bull market sort of things. So the big question is,
S&P,
are we going to continue this juggernaut? I mean, another thing is, look, we're 28.73 right now. We're, you know, when you start getting up this close to 3,000, it's like there's a kind of a magnetic pull on the market to get up towards 3,000. So I would keep that in mind.
Also, when you put in a new all-time record high, that's usually enough reason right there for people to take profits to some degree, and that's where we're at right
to
now.
do what?
Take profits.
Uh-huh. And look, you got the Nasdaq. You got the Nasdaq composite.
Go ahead.
7895, Dwayne, which is getting close to 8,000 for the Nasdaq. Remember, we got an 11,500 target on that one. The Dow, getting up to 26,000 again is a big deal. The Nasdaq itself, well, I'd say the NQ, up to 7,500, something like that. All of these targets are, at 75.50, probably another 100 points on the upside potentially for the Nasdaq. But big question is, are we going to have a pullback, into the midterms or not?
We're going to have a pullback right now because when you hit a all-time record high, very few people have the stones to buy the all-time record high. They either sideline, they might stay with their position, but there's very little new buying. And we're going to watch this chart here throughout the rest of the radio program. But I had drawn these arrows in a little bit earlier, guys, and I think this is somewhat of what we're going to see. We may not pull all the way back to the area marked, okay, but we're going to get some kind of a retracement here. Then people will feel safe buying back up to that high. Now we've got a double top there. People are even less likely to buy it. So we'll see what happens. This may play out differently this time, but that's how I've seen it play out so many times over and over. And look at the range. Well, we only got 5 minutes in this 30-minute candle, so we'll give it time, let it work itself out. That's kind of left in the day. All-time record high on the S&P. The Dow, where are we on the Dow? 25875. The Dow by 25,810. 25,810. So this was in the concierge trade alerts last night. 25,810. Okay. Now, someone's going to ask you. Was there another question here? Well, I think I asked you both the questions. Bruce, did you? Okay, Bruce elaborated on his question over the last few days. Oh no, it's okay. It's the same question. If I missed a question, just copy and paste it back in, guys. Now, the Dow, you were talking about the Dow, we're at 25,877, so we're approaching 26,000. Now, you're talking about the psychological impact of the S&P hitting 3,000?
Yeah.
Okay. And it'll draw it like a magnet. And I agree with you. I agree with you that over time, and I don't know if that time is days, weeks, or months, I 100% agree with that. I just think right here, right now, today, I think we're due for a pullback. I think we got the high of the day, and that's just one man's opinion. That's all it is. Because I don't know what's going to happen next.
I want to tell you this interesting story. All this stuff going on about censorship on the net and Twitter and the left-leaning Twitter and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And the deep state. You just don't know how much. This whole thing stinks to so much high heaven. To think that grown men would go around trying to trap people in lies just to put them in jail is just an absolute outrage. It makes you feel sick to your stomach that we live in a country where this can happen. And there's all these so-called convictions that CNN rattles off. They're all perpetrated. They're all engineered. It's just an outrage, really. This whole thing, the way these people go on. Anyhow, that there was a thing about Seth Rich. You got Kim.com. You got WikiLeaks said it a while back. Then there was this, apparently the former British ambassador allegedly took the disgruntled Democratic guy who was the actual guy who got the emails, gave it to the British ambassador, who took it to WikiLeaks. Apparently, that's how it happened. But anyway, where the new story now is, or the old story was, that Seth Rich was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and he was disgusted by the way that the Democrats were railroading him and cheating him out of winning, and that's why he downloaded all the emails and turned them over to WikiLeaks. And that story was put out on Fox some time ago, and it was sort of quashed. I don't know why. It was just sort of, quashed, and so Sunday, I'm just doing I was just sitting doing something, and I saw a tweet come up that was from Julian Assange's mother, right? And she said that she's confirming that Seth Rich is the guy who downloaded the all the emails, from the Democrats, right? So, I mean, this is a tweet that's out on the net. I thought it was 5 minutes old. I thought it was breaking news, so I retweeted it. You know what happened? I mean, I'm not kidding you. In a nanosecond, they shut me down. Did you get that? Hello?
Oh, John, can you hear me?
Yeah, did you get that?
Get what?
What I said about the Twitter and then shutting me down?
I don't know how this thing ended up on mute, but anyway, hang on. What I wanted to ask you, yeah, that's what I was trying to clarify. I'm sitting here talking to myself because I had it on mute. So you're saying that you retweeted it and Twitter shut
me down?
Okay.
Yeah, just for retweeting. That's all I did.
Did they send you an explanation, or?
No, I was able to get it back going.
When did they turn it back? How long was it off before they turned it back on?
About 15 minutes, maybe.
Really? Now, is that something? Yeah. Is that a common thing that they do?
No, it's never happened before to me. I've never been stopped. I've never been shut down or anything before, ever.
I'm just wondering, was it personal?
I've had listen. I had 22,000 followers, and every time I put a positive tweet out about Trump, I lost about 3,000 followers. So I stopped doing that after a while. But it's crazy,
funny.
And so a lot of people have lost. Somebody, this other guy, this commentator, he's on the radio, and he said the same thing happened to him. He put out a tweet about something and lost 3,000 people just like that. And so it's I mean, when you have a lot of followers, it's kind of upbeat, you're kind of revved up and motivated. And then when they sort of chop you down, it kind of takes the fun out of it. So
yeah, that's I've never known. This is the first time I've known of this happening to ordinary folk like us. Those people out there with the hate speech and all that kind of garbage. I mean, they deserve to be shut down. But freedom of speech in America. Hey, come on, whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah. It's a pity that all this stuff is going on right now. But look. And sometimes people don't know a good thing when they see it, and the whole world is in a place today that's never really been before.
Oh my goodness!
And look at the Chinese markets today. This is the other good news. The emerging markets have turned upwards with a vengeance, including the Chinese markets here today. And the bottom is actually getting stronger on these markets, and the fact that we're if we can get through this week with a very strong reversal on the Chinese markets, I think that's very bullish. And obviously, there's a differing commentary on this whole. In some ways, you could say Trump's a bit of a bull in a china shop, and he's really kind of exemplified that in the way that he's kind of gone after China, but. On the other hand, they're kind of dumbstruck. They've never been hit with anything but like this before, and it's definitely affected them. And they to, you know, the truth is dawning on them, and they're doing something about it. So the big question is, when these talks resume, what sort of a steps are they going to take towards reconciling the situation? And the answer might be a surprise. It might be quite whether they may look, if they came up with the 73 billion, you know, a few months ago, they obviously figured that wasn't enough. So maybe they'll, if they go for $250 million or something like that, or 300 billion somehow to get to even the scales, I'd like to think that Trump would go for that, and I'm sure he will. But there's always a chance he won't. You know, he may not think it's enough. So that's kind of a risk in of itself. But the benefits, you know, when you look at the loss of manufacturing jobs, we've probably picked up about 1 million, you know, certainly 500,000 manufacturing jobs, you know, in the last year or so, year and a half, which is definitely a move in the right direction. But we're still 5 million short of where we were back in 2000. So as I said a long time ago, probably before Trump was even elected, that's the biggest, you know, that's priority number one. If we can get back to, if we can add another 5 million manufacturing jobs over the next few years, that will be a huge plus for America, without any doubt.
I agree. Absolutely. Anything else you want to cover?
Yeah, there's I read something, you know, this thing about Tesla, obviously, with the possible buyout, which looks a lot more remote today, but I wouldn't rule it out. You know, stranger things have happened. But I heard that the Saudis were looking at another electric car company called Lucid, and you should take a look at this Lucid car. In fact, you might want to bring it up.
Yeah, I will.
It's a really cool looking machine, and kind of makes the Tesla look old. So, you know, this is one of the threats that's, wow, we're coming off pretty fast here, Dwayne, on the market now that the VIX is starting to go. That was a good call.
Lucid. Okay. Luxury mobility electric car reimagined. Lucidmotors.com. There we go. Oh, they got a great web designer. That's the home page that just loaded. This is becoming very, very popular. And well, I don't know. I know a guy that did that one time. So where should I go on the site? Where's a good place to see pictures?
Just keep going. There's a pretty good shot of it.
This is a beautiful website, man. Beautiful car too.
Look at the inside. Look at the seats. Wow.
Yeah. Now,
gorgeous.
okay. So now, tell me again what's special about this car.
I think it's more.
Does it run by air? Lucid Air?
Don't know. It's more automated, and it's obviously sleeker looking.
From executive jet travel. Listen clearly. It's got a 29 speaker audio system. My goodness, that's a lot. Energy. Electrification enables the Lucid Air to provide an unparalleled experience for both driver and passenger alike. The entire car, particularly its proprietary powertrain, has been engineered to deliver world-class acceleration, range, and efficiency. So we are talking an electric motor here?
Yeah.
Okay. The motor and transmission have been developed entirely in-house as an integrated system. The resulting powertrain is smaller, more efficient, and more power dense than. So what they're saying is they can. The Lucid Air battery.
400. Look at that. 400-mile range. Look at that. That's a
0
big
to
deal.
60 in 2.5. 400 miles of range. And a unique battery chemistry provides breakthrough tolerance in repeated fast charging. So what are one of these babies going to sell for?
Don't know.
They don't suggest any price at all. Sometimes the easiest way to accomplish something is to just ask for it. Beamforming microphones in the Lucid Air capture your voice instructions to enable safe, hassle-free interactions with vehicle systems no matter where you are seated. Okay. The Lucid Air is always ready to carry out your request, whether you're inside the car or across town. The Lucid mobile app, along with seamless integration of your favorite apps, ensures that your luxury mobility experience matches what you expect from mobile devices. This is the keys to your car, I'm guessing, so to speak. And there's, now this is, you know, Elon has that charging station just like this, right? And I guess all the electric cars have something similar to this. The Jolt, or whatever it was called. Charging your Lucid Air will be a matter of convenience, whether you're at home or fast charge while on a road trip. Plug-in time will not disrupt your busy schedule. Additionally, the Lucid Air will be compatible with standard charge connectors that already exist in your home and around town. Now, that's a first, right? It's got an ordinary, it's like a toaster. It's got an ordinary plug. Isn't that a first?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. You need to get that?
Yeah, listen, I better run.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
We'll talk to
Thanks.
you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Thanks. Yeah.
With a starting price of $60,000, the Lucid Air will have standard features and options that make it competitive with high-end benchmarks. Here, let me mute John's mic for him. So to all of you that popped into the pop-up yesterday, and Daniel, I sent you a message just now. I hope you got that. You just get mics. Yeah, there we go. John. Okay, John, your mic is on mute. All right. 400 horsepower, 240 mile range. Oh, up to 400, but, you know, off the shelf, 240. Autonomous driving. 4 screens with interactive touch surfaces on 3. 29 speaker audio system. Executive rear seats. So for $2,500, you could reserve one of these. The Lucid Air. Company, stories, gallery. In that picture there, it looks an awful lot like the Buick. I can't think of the name. Something from that angle looks a little bit familiar. This, it looks extraordinary here. It said somewhere that this was taken, this idea, concept, is from a luxury aircraft. Well, as much as I love this car, I really like to talk to the person that built this website. Magnificent job. And I have no doubt that it performs well on a mobile responsive, as they like to call it. Okay, jumping back to the S&P 500 Emini Futures. Got an all-time historic record high. And when you hit an all-time, I mean, just if you think it through, it's just, I don't know, logical, but when you hit an all-time historic high, never been there before. I mean, you're in rarefied air. It really takes someone with a sense of adventure to lay their money down and say, I think we can go even higher. I think anybody long takes profit, or some profit. Now, we are 23 minutes into the life of this 30-minute candle. It opened here. No. I'm sorry, it opened here. It went all the way down to here. Now it's pulled back up to here. And we got 6 minutes left in the life of this candle. If this candle closes red, and if it closes at the lower end of its range, I do think the pullback is coming. Honestly, I am surprised that it hasn't come maybe a little quicker. But that's okay. We'll deal with it however it shakes itself out. Last night on the Concierge Trade Alerts, we said to consider buying 28.64. This first run up had 5 3/4 points available. We never get out at the swing high or swing low. We teach trailing a stop. If you trail your stop, you'll always leave a little something on the table. The only ones who get out at the swing high or swing low are people that just luck into it. There's just no other way than to, and luck's not in our toolbox. So 5 3/4 points back below the trigger, because important prices and important areas are almost always tested. You see how it came back and just got a couple ticks there below the trigger, and it takes another run for 9.75. It'd be $500 per contract if we had gotten one more tick out of it, but we didn't. On the Dow, last night's Concierge Trade Alert said to consider buying 25,810 if the opportunity presented. This leg took us up 44 points, back below the trigger, and another move, 75 points. The Russell, the Concierge Trade Alert, said to consider buying 1707. We put in a swing high at 1724.30. That's roughly $850 per contract available. Now, what you took out of it has to do with where your stop was. How closely were you trailing? Where were you trailing? I'll show you this one more time, because I really hope that it sinks in and speaks volumes to you. I mean, we're still not even close to getting a sell signal. However, price is starting to walk sideways, just like it did here. Just because it walks sideways doesn't mean party's over. The step line has to be on the backside of the CFMA1, and then we need a red candle to close below the step line. We could just stall out here and eventually get an exit signal. We could move higher. It's possible. Keep an eye on it. Okay, that's the Russell. Crude oil. Last night, the Concierge Trade Alert said to consider buying crude at $65.85. Okay. I'll drag it up in just a second here, so I haven't dragged. I want you guys to be able to take a screenshot if you want. 65.85, and we put in a high at 66.49. So that's $640 per contract available. $640 per contract available. Again, wherever your stop, as you're trailing that stop, that's going to determine what you take away from this trade, not this, your stop placement, how close you trail. Okay, gold, we said to consider buying. The email said consider buying. $11.99, ran up $400 per contract. Let me go ahead right now and if you want to take your screenshot if you're ready. Okay, so I got them out early last night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, all right, so that's gold. Soybeans, so to consider buying $8.99, and that didn't happen. To get the chance, consider selling $8.91. Looks like that did happen. $8.91. Oh, so that got hit right on the open. In fact, it gapped below the entry, and then it ran back up above the trigger, and then came back down through the trigger. So again, that was $8.91. Okay. And what do we get? A swing low here of 87. So that's $200 per contract available. And then important prices, important areas, almost always tested. We get back above the trigger, down we go again, and this time we make it all the way to, we'll call it 885. So that's 6, so that's 300 on that move, and then back above, and then 200 available on that move. NQ, what have you got for us today? Last night on the NQ, we said to consider being long, 74.12. Right there. Okay, so, well, hang on. 74.12. Okay, this first run up, 74.12, took us to 29. So that's 17. So that's $340 per contract available. Per contract available. And then price gets back below the trigger, and off it goes again. This time running up to 74.52 quarter, and so 52 minus 12. Well, 52 minus 12, that's $800 per contract available. Two separate opportunities. First one, the maximum available that the market made available, $340 per contract, and then get back below the trigger, the market makes $800 available so far. Okay. Okay, we did close red. Now we're 3 minutes into this new candle. It's starting to look like the walk sideways. Let's see if we can get a clearer picture here. So, that could have been interpreted as a sell signal, but if we get together in a pop-up or in a one-on-one or workshop, we'll talk. Remind me of this, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Up here, let's see, this actually took you all the way back to the trigger, right here, and below it. So even if you were taken out here, then you had another opportunity right on the back of it. Okay. And right now, so what do we need to happen? Price to continue walking sideways, and then we need to close below the black step line once it's clearly on the opposite side, or the back side of the CFMA1. Okay, now what else do we have in the chat box? I had Bob said, I have 2 Facebook profiles shut off by Facebook for reposting political things. Politically correct stuff too, I might add, against our government in the last year. Just basic awareness of certain event type stuff in Canada. Yeah, JT, I agree. I think I like the looks of that car better than the Teslas. Yeah, I sure do. All right. It's that time. Good word for the day. Now, as soon as we're done with the good word for the day, I'm going to go. If you got any questions about anything. Oh, I've been sending people to the Telegram channel to see the recap of the entire beta test 3 weeks. Well, we figured out yesterday, I figured out what other people already figured out, because the recap, I made it a group versus a channel. Well, when somebody new joins a group, they can't see the previous messages. Eesh. So I converted, I don't have to go through all the details, but now if you go to the public beta recap, you can actually see all the stuff that I thought you could see for the past, I don't know, week or so. Finally, somebody mentioned it last night, or I heard them talking amongst themselves, and I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? Because see, I could see it all the time because I was the creator. I did not realize with a channel, everything is always viewable all the time, forever. With a group, once you join the group, you see everything moving forward, but you don't see the history unless the creator goes in and tightens a few bolts and throws a switch, pulls the lever. Or is it a lever? Well, we'll leave that for another day. Now, good word for the day. Oh, and Russell reminds me, final Excel beta version is at support at CFRN.net. Now, let me ask you this, Russell, would I be able to pull that up right now and talk fluently, or should I study it first? And yes, TJ, Mark Douglas was a man of faith. Perhaps not the same way that some of us might be. You worded it right. He was a man of faith. He wasn't a Baptist. He wasn't a Pentecostal. He didn't have a label. But yeah, in his final days, we certainly had our talks about God. I miss him. Okay. So Russell, I don't know if you're still there. Should I try to talk people through it today, or should I do the smart thing and get familiar with the spreadsheet? Here we go. Here's what's going to happen. After the show, I'm going to call Russell. He's going to walk me through the fine work that he did. And then tomorrow, here on live radio, I'm going to walk all of you through it, okay? So that it makes sense. Now, it's a little different than the way Michael's spreadsheet is, because with his spreadsheet, what we're doing is we're recapping 2 hours of what the people in the room already saw happen. We're going to be looking at a spreadsheet now that it's not boxed into a 2-hour window. It's fluid around the clock. So, awesome. And TJ says about Mark Douglas, I thought so. His book could be a primer of faithful belief. Oh, you know, yes, and yes. Well said. Well said. Oh, really, Russell? Okay. All right. Friends, I want to encourage you to be strong in these trying times. Be resilient. Isaiah 54:2. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes. Isaiah 54:2. If you've ever been camping and put up a tent, you understand that language. The Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco can move up to 6 meters in either direction at its center. All of its parts, including its concrete roadway, steel railings, and cross beams, are connected from one welded joint to another through the vast cable system to 2 great towers, then down to a rock foundation beneath the Pacific. Here are 2 important biblical truths we learn from this. Number 1, you must be strong. Paul writes, "Be strong, not in yourselves, but in the Lord, in the power of his boundless resource. Put on God's complete armor so that you can successfully resist all the devil's methods of attack. For our fight is not against any physical enemy. It is against organizations and powers that are spiritual." This is not the typical translation you would hear this from. In fact, this is the PHPS that I'm not familiar with. But you know the scripture I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to check into that. We are up against the unseen power that controls this dark world and spiritual agents from the very headquarters of evil. Therefore, you must wear the whole armor of God, that you may be able to resist evil in its day of power, and that even when you have fought to a standstill, you may still stand your ground. Number 2, resilient. Remember I said there's 2 things? Got to be strong, got to be resilient. The Golden Gate Bridge has survived a century of earthquakes because it was built to sway, but not too far. It's flexible and resilient, as we must be. Paul wrote to the church at Corinth, 2 Corinthians 4:8 and 9, "We often suffer, but we are never crushed. Even when we don't know what to do, we never give up. In times of trouble, God is with us. And when we get knocked down, we get back up again." Right? Getting knocked down. Remember? I think it was an Australian group that sang that song. Even when we don't know what to do, we never give up. Now, if you don't know what to do, that's a pretty good time to give up. But it says here, Paul writes, even when you don't know what to do, don't give up. In times of trouble, God is with us. And when we are knocked down, we get up again. Now, that'll preach. I could spend an hour about getting back up again. Getting back up again. How many times in your life have you been knocked down and somehow, some way, you found the strength, maybe through the Word of God, the encouragement of a friend, or an angel, you know? Sometimes your neighbor can be an angel and not know it. And God sends them to minister to you and help you get back up again. Think about that. Strength and resilience. Now, I don't want to desecrate the good word of the day, but let me just say this. We just read it. You must be resilient. The Golden Gate Bridge has survived a century of earthquakes because it was built to sway. All right. Wouldn't you think if you were building a bridge, being a non-engineer, I'm not an engineer or a builder, but it just seems like if I was building a bridge, I would build it so that it doesn't sway. right? Like it's rigid. It can withstand anything. But the only reason the Golden Gate Bridge has been able to withstand anything and everything, including earthquakes, is because it was not built to be rigid, but it was built to sway. The opposite of what we think. Now, turn that around to your trading. If you expect the trade to draw down, because that's what markets do, they channel back and forth all day long. But the second we get in, we expect it to stop that channeling and just straight line to our target. That rarely happens. It happened on a few today, but it's not usually what happens. But yet, how is it that we even think that's possible? But that's what we want. Okay? Our trade setup was designed with that in mind, and I never really thought about this before. But the fact that we hold up our right hand and say, I do not know what's going to happen next, and then we put on a long trade, fully expecting that the first thing it's probably going to do is head south. Wow, why would you even put that on? Because we don't know what's going to happen next, but we do know how markets work. And we needed to have that little bit of pullback. So it's just like pulling back a slingshot. So it's got the energy to make it to the target. You know what? I'll probably print this out and put it on the blog. I got to chase down that foreign translation. PHPS. All right. That's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm sorry about yesterday, but it happens. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.